Hello, everyone, and happy August. We could not be more thrilled to bring you this demo live. Quick story. Very few times in my tech marketing career have I been sitting at a conference and a tech vendor is giving a presentation, adding value to the audience, not sharing what they are, not even sharing or doing a demo, nothing like that, just adding value to the audience. Only 2 times have I ever seen it where the audience was so packed with their own users that their own users stood up and went on and on and on about how much they are champions for this product, this company, and this team. And that was such an eye-opening moment for me. Not only was I able to see and feel the excitement around this product and how it changes and makes so much impact for business owners, but they have just been so wonderful to me. So I could not wait to give all of y'all a live demo of the one, the only Anchor. And that being said, I am going to bring up Tal Ben Passat, the COO and CFO of Anchor. There we go.
Oh, there we are. Hi.
Hi, Tal. All right, take it away.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for everybody for joining us today, and Ashley, thank you very much for having us here. So my name is Tal, COO and CFO of Anchor. I'm here to tell you kind of how we help firms, operators. A lot of our clients actually are the operators to really make a difference and help the firms they're working with, and in general, service providers. I'm going to share my screen so I can show a few slides. Hi, Amy. And as always, we always like to start from the problem that you try to solve, and we can take it from there. There's going to be some, if you want to ask some questions, please feel free. I'm going to share my screen now. Actually, let me know when you can see my screen. One second. Okay, let's do it this way. Can you see my presentation? Ashley, can you see my screen?
Sure can.
Okay, perfect. So a blueprint for efficient scale, how we can grow revenue, cut costs, and eliminate unbillable manual work. The word eliminate is going to be resonating a lot here. I'm going to start from kind of where everything started for us, and we're going to take it from there. A few words about myself. As I said, CEO and CFO of Anchor. Used to work for PwC and KPMG, auditor, consultant, worked in MasterCard as well. I also had my own tax practice, did my MBA. So I've seen those challenges, solutions from various sides until I actually decided to go and develop a solution that helped to eliminate a lot of the problems I saw. On the bottom right-hand side, you see a QR code. If you want to meet and speak to us more, feel free to scan it. We kind of thought about what are the problems we see that affecting or makes it more challenging for firms to scale these days. And a lot of those problems are around the operations. When you think about operations, by the way, we're going to see it in a second, it's a lot of aspects of the business. So how do we grow without adding overhead at the same pace? How do we move ownership to the team without losing control, right? As AI increasingly does the client work, how do we eliminate the manual work around it? A lot of AI tools these days promise us that we will be able to do more work with the same amount of people. So we're going to sell more clients, but then there's a lot of work around it, managing or running the business when you think about it, right? If I used to have 50 clients, now I have 100 clients, I need to manage those clients. And not for that, you don't have a lot of AI capabilities today, but then also you need to manage everything around the agreements, the engagements, the billing around that, and a lot of other aspects as well. How do we standardize the client journey without losing a personal experience? Super important, right? As operations people, a lot of what we do is looking into the processes of managing our clients, how we interact with them, everything around providing the service, but also a lot of things around it. How to create predictable revenue and cash flow, right? It's not enough to do the work. We need to make sure we have the revenue, we price the right prices, we collect the revenue, we retain the revenue, right? And in the right time. That's the cash flow part, right? How do we connect fragmented systems and get real-time visibility? So many systems out there, right? We have the all-in-one, we have the ecosystem players, right? And so many challenges because of that, right? We want to have the best in class. We want them to speak to each other. AI can't go in there. We have MCP that helps to connect tools. A lot of questions around that as well. Where can automation and actually remove work, not just add another tool? Funny enough, everybody's automating. But if you really look into that, you'll see that while everybody's automating, we still have a lot of manual work. And I don't know how many of you actually were really thinking about it. And one of the main reasons is that there is so much you can automate, right? Because at the end of the day, if you have a lot of siloed areas in the business, even if you automate, let's say X percentage of that, but you're still going to have more elements you have to do manual work. And then between those siloed areas, usually you need to have human there to connect the dots, right? So actually, when we're going to talk about in a second about Anchor, what Anchor does, we are not automating processes. I mean, we do, but we don't just. We're actually eliminating that. Because only when you eliminate a workflow, a process, then you can really undercut the work around it. And because automating it is so far. How do we implement change that the team and client actually adopt, right? No one really likes change, but change is important for us as a firm, right? For our clients as well. Eventually, our clients see additional capabilities out there. They also want to make sure that they are provided the best services. So we need to also balance that. So if you think about it, AI is changing how firms do the work, but the next transformation is actually about how firms run the business around that. This is exactly where Anchor actually fits in. And, you know, you can see in the bottom, it's one of the sentences I really like. The previous COO of Facebook, people asked her, what do you do as the COO? What is the definition of your role, as an operations person? And she said, whatever it takes. And it's always funny to see that, right? And operations people understand that. It's like, as operations people, we are always responsible to connect the dots in the organization, right? It's the finance and the marketing and the owner and the sales and the account managers and the IT and whatever it takes, and so many parts of the organization. And in many cases, we are the people that see the entire organization end to end, or most of the parts of the organization end to end. And even if we don't see all of it, we know someone in the right place that actually knows the missing part. So that means usually we're in the best position to create those efficiencies across the business. And it's a very important position because this is the only way that allows you to take off those silos areas. And when people think about solution, people always ask me about tools out there. And I always tell them that as a business, even for us, right, as a company, we always want to make sure we have the best tools available. So we always try to find tools that are the best in their area, okay? And then to make sure they are connected to the best tools in other areas. This way, we make sure that we get the best out of everything versus getting a tool that has one capability, but then one good capability, but then in many other places, it's kind of below average. Because the reality is that even with AI, no one can really develop best in class in everything, because to develop best in class, you always have to really go in and build and go into the rabbit hole of the use cases, the challenges, and solve them. And that's only possible when you do that. If you can even think about companies like Apple, for example, recently in the news with AI, Apple was one of the companies didn't go double down on AI. Actually, their stock price goes up. So they kind of try to focus on some things and some other things less. It's a different discussion, but super important. But we are the people that can actually connect the dots or the knots, as I wrote here, across the organization. What Anchor actually does, or kind of even preview for that, so Anchor enables firms to scale profitably with confidence, leveraging personal relationship, the most advanced platform, and the most affordable, transparent pricing to power both today's operations and tomorrow's vision. Forward-looking in so many ways. And you have a lot of important keywords here, like profitably. That means when you grow your revenue, you also keep your bottom line. We're helping you to grow your revenue. We're happy to maintain your costs, not grow your costs with it. Confidence, compliance. We started selling Anchor about 3 years ago. And so far, we have above 2,500 accounting firms using us, processing about $1 billion a year and growing, with 99% customer retention. It's a lot, but one of the key things we do is working with our customers on what they need, what will make them happy. Because if one firm needs something, very likely other firms need that, and I'm going to show some case studies around that. We're also partners with the Video Alliance, Deloitte, Cal CPA, and a lot of other organizations. And we work with them again to see what we can add, what value we can add to firms we work with. Okay, let's dive kind of into the problem that Anchor solves, but it's connected to everybody's processes, right? So the client engagement process is highly fragmented. As I said before, this is kind of very summarized view, only like 6 stages, but if you take each one of those, inside of it, there are a lot of stages in between. We meet the customer, we do a discovery, we do the value proposition, right? We have a value discussion, understanding what value we can drive for the client. Then we do value pricing. Hey, client, based on what we discussed, these are the options I can give you, right? Every option drives different value. You just need to decide what we want to do now, right? Then we want to sign on a proposal, an engagement letter to set up the services, set up the relationship, to set up expectations for the relationship. Super important across every type of services we offer as professional services, right? Then we want to onboard our clients. We want to deliver the services. Then we want to bill against that, right? And ideally also get paid. And of course, and then you have all the back office like reconciliation and so on. But then also things change, right? The only constant is change, as you know. The proposal is the beginning of the relationship, but the relationship is lasting for a long time. Sometimes there is scope creep. Sometimes clients want additional services. Things change all the time. And the problem is that while there are tools to some of those areas, no one really goes across the entire area and basically allow you to manage that in an organized way. And specifically in this part of the customer journey, especially the part around changes, around billing. Those of you that have tax returns, tax clients, a common practice of a lot of firms that don't use Anchor is to send an invoice and basically sit on the invoice until 9:15 or 10:15, saying that the client will not have the return submitted until they pay. But it basically means we are financing our clients. I had the same issue when I had my tax practice, by the way. Our clients don't do it anymore. They finish the work, they click a button, money is pulled to their account. Simple as that, because of what Anchor offers, part of the propositions. The result of everything we just discussed has 2 parts. One, high accounts receivable, day sales outstanding, write-offs, okay? Every firm. I met $100 million firms that have those problems. Funny enough, when we engage with those firms, usually we engage with the COO, not with the CFO, for example, right? The COO or the person responsible on the operations or admins, those are the people usually, again, sits in the firms in those places. They see the contracts, the billing, the client engagements. And we actually work with them on that. And usually they have been brought when things are really bad and need to get solved. Because again, doing whatever it takes to make things happen. And on the left-hand side, you can actually see it leads to a lot of manual, unbillable work. And that's super important to understand. Nothing takes, 2-3 meetings. By the way, if you can see the data here, it's average per invoice per month, right? It accumulates, it adds up. It adds up to a lot of work. Now, some people will sometimes tell us, oh yeah, that's what I have my admin for. The reality is that it's not just the admin. It's about 10 to 15% of your client-facing teams, your client-facing managers, the partners. It goes all the way up. The inefficiencies live all the way up. And guess what? If your client-facing team spends even 5 minutes of their time on unbillable work, it's a full loss to the firm. If they need to send one email to a client saying, hey, client, please give me money, it's unbillable work. You're literally losing money. You're losing the focus on what really matters. And firms that move to Anchor eliminate this part of their work. They don't do that anymore. Everything you see on the left-hand side, not happening anymore. Because with Anchor, basically, running a business is like one interconnected process. Very high level. You create a proposal. And on Anchor, you can create very advanced proposals. It's not your kind of basic PDF. You can create packages and optional services. So you can create real dynamic pricing. So we call it demand-based pricing, right? Like when you buy a flight ticket, right? So they tell you, hey, do you want to choose which type of seats you're going to sit at? Do you want to sit in the coach or business or first, right? And then your clients have add-ons, right? Just like you can add a suitcase, but now your clients can see additional services you can offer them. You also have built-in automations. For example, you can build in an annual automatic price increase. 98% of the firms using Anchor has a built-in annual automatic price increase. That means your clients sign on the proposal that every year their price goes up automatically, let's say 5%. On a $1 million business, that's $50,000 revenue increase a year. And by the way, you can call it inflation adjustment. Now, how that sits with operations, let's say the firm has 100 clients. Usually about 80% of the clients, 70, 80%, nothing really changes between the years, right? So the 5% just kind of balance out your, the inflation, kind of inflation adjustment, as I said, balance out the inflation, adds a few more kind of percentages if you want to do some price increase, salary increases and things like that, but that's it. So we literally eliminated the work on 80% of your clients. Now, the 20, 30% that had more significant changes, by the way, maybe during the year, with those, you can then focus, as you see in a second, and take a different action. You also have negotiation mechanism, for example, limited time discounts. You can give the client a discount, but only if they sign the proposal in the next 10 days. So we accelerate your cycle, your sales cycle, not because it's a pretty proposal, but also because we use cognitive biases, capabilities helping you to close deals faster. Also to expire discounts automatically. The client receives the proposal, and to sign it, the client has to connect the payment method, and they can select between free ACH or card and the fees on them. So we also eliminate your card fees. And once the client signs, the system automatically sends invoices, pulling the money out from the card or bank account, depositing it in your bank account, and reconcile to your general ledger. And we support every type of billing scenario, upfront, on completion, recurring, in stages for the auditors around here. Ranges, why? Because maybe you want to bill the client between $1,000 to $1,500. And if something breaks, your client gets notification and reminders and so on. And on the last part, you have the ability to amend agreements. So let's say you want to add a service, change prices. You can click edit, apply the change. The client is notified and they either click to approve or it's automatically accepted based on your agreement with the client. So if you think about it, we eliminated renewals. Why? Because as we said, about 70, 80% of your clients are going to be on the automatic price increase. And the rest, you're going to change them as things change. You're going to change the agreement as things change in the relationship. eliminating work. That means the team is available to focus on what really matters. This is a very big slide, but it says a lot of things here. To simplify the process we spoke about, there is an AI layer. We can talk about it more with like a number of agents that can help you to draft your proposals with pricing and benchmarking and really cool things. There is a an agent that helps you to understand what's going on Anchor. It'll give you statistics and so on. Full on connectivity. We are believing that you want to have the best in class in everything. So you have Zapier, a public API, MCP and Cloud Connector, and of course, native integration. So any possible way for you to use Anchor in any way that fits your firm. And of course, the highest level of compliance and security. So we have approval flows of the clients. If you kind of heard from what I said, the entire approval process of changes with agreement and invoices is managed by a compliance system between you and your client. There is an audit trail. There is a client area where the client see, just like you, the agreement, the invoices, the audit trail. It's the only system that allows you to manage this type of compliance with your client. So even if you change an agreement, it's logged there. So instead of sending an agreement every year, you just see 5 years in one place. Also makes amazing for data management. All of that leads to eliminating workflows, eliminating work, eliminating also AR. Why? Because you finish the tax return, you don't send an invoice anymore. You click bill now. Invoice goes out, money comes in. But you can also bill additional services. You can bill a range and so many other use cases.
Real
As
quick,
I said, yeah.
We're getting a couple questions. You might have just answered this first one. If it's if you are billing and it's a stage based, if it's stage based by the project completion, wow, that was way harder than it needed to be for me to get out. How would you do that with this? Is it what you just described?
Yeah, so I'm going to show it also in a second, but let's say,
perfect.
for example, you can do 20% upfront, 30% on stage 1, 30% on stage 2, and 20% on completion. Upfront can be automated. So once they sign, money pulled out, you have your deposit. Stages 2, 3, 4, you have 3 options actually. One option is you finish the work, you give the deliverable, you click bill now. Very good for situations that, timeline is a bit more loose, you need to finish deliverable and so on. Option number 2, you can agree on dates. I'm going to bill you on the 1st of January I'm going to bill you now for the first one. I'm going to bill you on the 15th of December for the second one, or whatever. You can schedule them. The third one is from the date in which the agreement was signed. But the beauty of that is that you and your client agree. The client see that, and based on that, the system actually operates. This is the compliance side between you and your client. We also ask, do you have the number of size of business using Anchor? How small or similar size? So we have anyone from your solo entrepreneurs that have 5 clients all the way to $40, $50 million firms using Anchor. So as I said, we started selling 3 years ago. We don't sell things we don't have, so we don't go and sell unfinished product to enterprise companies. So we're progressing over time slowly. So we're already serving those $40, $50 million firms. I think there was another question here.
No, I think that's it for questions now.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the presentation. I'm going to show that in a second, by the way, as well, so you can see exactly how it looks. You see my screen again? Can you see my presentation, Ashley?
Yep, sure can.
Okay, perfect. So as I said, integrations to every tools out there. So one of the cool things, for example, Gmail and Outlook. So your proposals, engagement letters, invoices, payments, everything comes from your own inbox, Gmail or Outlook. So that's super personalized. Of course, as I said, on the integrations to CRM, general ledgers, practice management tools. So for example, if you use any practice management tools, Once the client signs the agreement, immediately it kicks off the client information to the practice management, and it also maps the work items so the team can actually start doing the work. No one need to go and start matching things manually. We connect to a note taker so we can take the transcription, and based on the transcription with the client, the conversation automatically create the proposal for you. A lot of cool capabilities there. So if you think about it, Anchor is kind of a wrapper to practice management tools, right? So practice management tools is where you actually kind of your team is doing the work, or managing the project. If you think about it this way, so it literally fits in between. So on Anchor, you create an engagement letter. The client signs on it. We push the information to the practice management. When billing comes, it comes from Anchor. There is no other company that has our billing capabilities and also terms. And of course, money is deposited, and whenever change happens, you can, of course, amend the agreement, and it kicks off the entire workflow process again from the beginning. So it gives you the ability to manage an never-ending, hopefully, relationship. And our model is super, super simple. So we help you to grow your revenue, and our clients usually grow their revenue by tenfold because of the built-in capability to grow the revenue that I mentioned. On the cost side, we also made it super simple. No subscription, $5 per transaction, and no card fees. There is no solution out there that actually charge this amount of money. We never changed our price since Anchor went out. So actually, we started to build it about 5 years ago. The price was never changed. Okay, we're the only company that can actually say that. And one of the reasons is because we build it this way. And the more time, the more users we have, actually, we maintain our profitability and improve it, so we can actually keep on giving those prices, or as you can see, or less, because new clients, actually, we can give a small discount here for new joiners. The result of what I just showed you allocates or divided into three, right? Consultants, operators like free, everything in freeze. One is revenue growth, right? About 20% revenue growth. That's because all the capabilities that I mentioned, it's digital first. There is an app, by the way, just now releasing. Packages and add-ons, built-in annual price increases, every type of billing, limited time discounts, and so on. Save you the money, no rev share. There are solutions out there that take percentage of your revenue, not with Anchor. The more money you make, the more profit you have. If you charge a client $1,000, you get $995, we get $5. You bid a client for $10,000, you get $9,995, we get $5. So the more money you make, the more money you keep, everybody's happy. And of course, operational efficiencies. The compliance side means you don't have to go and start creating a sidetrack of approvals from clients. We have the ability to create thousands of proposals in minutes, especially for tax season. The integration to Outlook and Gmail means that you don't have to send like another email, for example, with a link to a proposal. Client area, so you don't have to send the client invoices. The client has ability to see the invoices and the audit file themselves and the agreement, amendable, human support, and there's so many other things. And two use cases to show you, because it's always important. As I said, for example, limited annual renewals. So accounting firms usually don't really need annual renewals, right? Unless there is any compliance requirement, or like an audit or things like that. But usually you don't need annual renewal. Most firms do annual renewal because they want to increase prices. That's why most firms actually don't increase prices. Funny enough, when we speak to firms, I hear that people are not increasing prices 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I also heard a gentleman did not change his price for 7 years. And this is a problem, because inflation doesn't really care, and inflation hits firms as well. And the funny thing is, we actually recommend our clients to increase their prices. We don't do it ourselves. A lot of reasons. Also because people have heard of the friction, it takes time, and we don't feel comfortable to come and ask for 5% increase. Also, why? Clients will tell us why. Why do you want what changes you want a 5%? And if we say inflation, they'll tell you, oh, but it also affects me. The 5% built-in price increase is how you manage expectations with your client. That means when the client signs the agreement, you tell them, hey, client, this is how we manage our business. 5% increase every year. 5% is the average, by the way. January 1st, about $50 million price increase January 1st in one day across the platform. So if your firm did not have a January 1st revenue increase, automatic one with zero client friction, you should speak to us because that's literally money on the table. Literally money on the table. Another case study is one of our dear clients. It's been with us for a long time. His name is Nick Boscia. It's a firm from New Jersey. Nick used to spend months with his team creating engagement letters for tax season. Some firms don't do that. It takes too much time. He also had a lot of AR. He was chasing AR for about a year and longer because a lot of the clients have been with them for a long time. They didn't want to lose clients. Coming to Anchor, we actually initially did it with him manually, kind of with Excel and stuff like that. We learned his process, and together we developed this tool that basically allows him and us and you, if you decide to use Anchor today, to create thousands of engagement letters in minutes. Now I'm talking about engagement letters that have packages, optional services. They have multiple services, right? So Nick and a lot of other firms don't just bill for 1040s or 1120s. They bill for extensions. So average $50 for a 1040 client and $100 for a business return. They bill for audit protection, for advisory. I'm sure people on this call don't have clients like this, but some firms have clients that have just one question in tax season for just 5 minutes, right? So firms now getting paid for that. And also using features like ranges. So for example, instead of quoting, $800 for 1040, but then actually realizing that the client forgot to tell you something, and then, eating up the fees, you can just quote $800 to $1,200. And if you end up doing more work, you can bill your client for $1,000 and the money will be collected automatically, as I said. But now you made 25% more revenue. So a lot of things like that. And actually, Nick saw a 30% revenue increase year over year. There are a lot of other cool things here that we can talk about, but for a different time, like about taxes and strategies. And also, he has zero AR. He finished collecting all of his fees by the end of April. Super simple. Any questions so far before I'm showing Anchor itself?
Not right now. I think once you show the demo, there may be a couple more questions.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen now, and I'm going to show Anchor. Can you see my dashboard? Ashley, can you see the dashboard?
Yes, sure can.
Amazing. So welcome to Anchor. The idea here is giving you visibility to everything that happens around your business in those areas. So what you can see here is my agreements, those active, those waiting approval. I can, of course, double click and see more information, but we want to keep it super clean and simple. Simplicity is very important for us. You can see the status of your invoices, those processing, those require attention. And as I said, if something happens, missing whatever, the system automatically chases your client. You can see information about your revenue, and you can see information about your payouts, when you're going to get paid and how much. And on Anchor, you get paid within 2 business days. You bill a client on a Monday, by end of day Wednesday, money is in your account. There's more areas like you can see also about the proposals. You can see also, of course, there is the reporting section, but everything starts on Anchor with the services area. I have way too many services here in my demo, but it's okay. The idea here is how we standardize the operation, right? Most firms will have some sort of a Word document that they go and customize it, or any other tool they have. Here you have your services standardized, every service with a description, how they're being built. The idea here is that once everything is standardized, and we actually help you with that, you can take the service into a proposal and customize it for the client needs. So it saves you about 95% of the work. You can also create bundles. So bundle will be a service that has one price, but multiple services nested there. We also have a really good sync to QBO. So that means that everything is mapped to QBO, specifically it's a QBO capability. Everything is mapped into QBO in the service line pricing. So you can actually see the underlying services revenue in QBO. We also have integration to Zero, but unfortunately they don't have this feature. So as I said, to create proposals, you have basically a few ways. You can create it from scratch, from a template with AI, also in bulk for tax. Super easy from a template. I'm just going to choose one of my templates. Basically, I'm 95% done. And now I can customize the template. I can add a client. I can, of course, have multiple recipients in CC or co-signers. I can have expiration if you want to, the message to the client. I can add a video. I can add additional documents, PDFs, whatever you want to add here. If you want to add like CVs of your team members or brochure or anything like that, you can, of course, add as many pages as you want. And now we go to the fun areas of the pricing. And here we have, in this case, 3 tiers. You, of course, don't have to. There's also a cool AI draft here that can help you in beta, very advanced. Still kind of, working on that like sanity check, kind of a few prompts to help here and stuff like that. Also helps with the pricing and so on. More to come. But now I can customize it. So for example, this client, I'm going to give them a small discount of, let's say, 5%. But I'm going to give it only if the client is going to sign the proposal in the next 10 days. So in the next 10 days, the client is going to be notified that they're going to lose the discount unless they're going to sign. So again, loss aversion. And actually, the discount is going to be only for 3 months. It's actually a promotion. In 3 months, it will expire. So no one need to remember to go and take off the discount because it actually, people forget. So it leads to revenue leakage, about 4.6% on average of the revenue of firms. And as I promised, annual price increase of 5%, simple as that, and you're done. You don't have to go and send price increases in December. You build into the agreement. And this service is billed monthly on the 1st, but a lot of other scenarios I can do one time in stages, as we said, weekly, upfront, on completion. We support, of course, also hourly, unit-based, and the ranges. Hourly is really cool. So everybody knows hourly billing. No company actually in the world has this feature, which is called pre-approved amount. So we talked about compliance. You and your client can agree that up to 20 hours a month or 20 units, like let's say 1099s. When you bill the client, let's say for 18 hours, system automatically going to send an invoice and pull the money out because it's below the pre-approved amount. If it's going to be 22 hours, the client will need to click to approve the payment. So again, we're allowing you to automate your variable-based pricing, and your client, give the client control, making sure they're in control of how much money you bill them. Again, it's a compliance mechanism between the two parties. No company in the world has something like that. But that means 99% of your payments will be automated, even if they are billable hours, because usually clients have an average, right? You know that they're probably 20 hours a month, 30 hours a month, right? Maybe it fluctuates. You can add like a few percentages, but that's it. If it's a project, the client usually going to ask you, hey, how many hours is going to take? No one really gives us, full kind of freedom in billing as much as we want from day one. You can, of course, mix and match services. You can have them as optional services. You can, of course, add your legal terms and additional documents. For example, 7216 or whatever you want to add here. We talked about the amendments. You can agree with your client how agreement amendments and invoice amendments are managed. Automatically accepted after, for example, 7 days, or a client need to click to approve. And then you have the proposal. Super clean. Your logo, your colors, very tailored, very professional, and of course, smartphone friendly. It's not a PDF. The client see your experience. Now you can have a discussion with them. What we learned is actually our clients are using this preview to do a walkthrough of their clients to increase the likelihood of closing deals. So as operation people, we can actually, work with our sales team on using something like that to help them to enable more sales. Because now me and my client can have a discussion about what I can offer them, what type of services, how much they're going to cost. And I can change things on the go. I can literally come and change services or add services and go back to the presentation. And it's super simple. No one need to go and start editing things. And when you select the package, you see actually the breakdown of services. And the client can see they have a 5% discount for 3 months, and it's only for they have 10 days to decide. And we built into the agreement everything is supposed to be here, the service description and the price increase and things like that. And they can select additional services. This is, for example, the range. The CEO legal terms. Everybody loves the legal terms. Additional documents you might want to have here. And then they connect the payment method, and as we said, ACH for free or card and the fees on them. And then they just sign. Simple as that. So actually, we see that about 60% of the signatures happen on smartphones, even if it's businesses, even if it's large businesses, funny enough. So it gives them an easy way to sign it. And we know about people that sending proposals from their smartphones or signing from the smartphones. We have an app, and we also encourage completely mobile friendly or tablet friendly. The other cool things I want to show you is what happens when you sign an agreement. That's a capability that no company has. You see all my agreements are actually here. I can go back in time to older agreements that were signed years ago. And now the magic of Anchor is that I can actually click here. And just like you expect from a SaaS product, I can go and actually edit this agreement. Take another one. Actually going to be nicer. 1 second. Let's take this one, for example. I don't know. Okay, doesn't really matter. I have I have multiple services here. The client wants me to do also their bookkeeping. So today you might have to send a new agreement, right, for bookkeeping services, or agree in an email and then have to log the email. With Anchor, I'm just going to click edit. I can add, of course, custom pages, but I'm just going to add here my bookkeeping. In this case, I can, of course, customize it. I can add a note. I can change the terms, whatever I want to do. You see here are 7 days, and I'm done. Now the client will be notified. And in this case, my client will have 7 days to approve or reject the change, otherwise automatically accepted. That's it. Everything goes to the activity log because, of course, as accountants, we love audit trails, but you can see that your employee actually changed the agreement. And look into that. I have a full audit trail here that is running since 2023. From the moment I sent the first proposal, all the invoices, all the payments, everything here, and my client has a similar view. I can see my invoices, and of course, there's linked to my QuickBooks, but everything is here. And of course, I can edit my invoices as well. So why is that important? Because let's say, for example, I want to add a one-time charge, or I want to add a credit. A credit is great instead of refunding, for example, money, which can just cause issues. You can, of course, do refunds on Anchor and partial refunds, but actually credit it because I want to thank my client for referring Jane. I'm going to give my client $100. That's it. So I don't have to go now. I can do the same thing with charges. I don't have to go now to a different system and do credits or things like that, credit memos, and that sinks into a general ledger as is. For the larger firms, you can actually manage multiple instances of Anchor. So a lot of big firms, what they do, they will have an Anchor per office, and we build for them kind of a firm view so they can see all the firm below, but every office, every area will have the kind of their own Anchor, the way they do that. And more areas like, integrations, of course, you can see information some here. And of course, you can control notification, add team members, rules and permissions. You can literally, even notifications, you can control the language they get, the emails. If it's notifications like this, you can also select, edit the text they get. So we also have a support in text messages, and more and more and more.
I just love it. I've seen this product multiple times, and every single time you show us, I have a million different light bulbs of things that we can do that would just make our business so much easier. So thank you, Tal, for your time today. I'm curious, give us a sneak peek. What's one thing that y'all are working on for the future that will come out? You don't have to give us anything super secret. Just give us a little taste.
So working on a few cool areas like sales tax coming up like literally in a week, so I can talk about it and say that. Few very interesting, very unique AI capabilities that there is no one in the market actually doing. Things that are people are gonna like them a lot, gonna help people to eliminate a lot of the work they do today around everything we discussed about. And what I also mentioned about tax, so the ability to create tax engagement letters in bulk, but smart ones with different price points, right? Because no one wants to create 1,000 agreements with the same price points, because even with tax, every client has their own price, right? You want to make sure, and then more than that, because maybe you want to do some dependencies. You want to make sure that, one service, for example, is priced X, like a 1040, but then advisory is based on percentages of the tax return or stuff like that. So really advanced things, and AI that governs also all of that. That's a few cool things that are coming up, and a lot of other cool things that I can't really mention yet.
I love it. And some other cool things.
But we are very quick. We are releasing really quick. We have our engineering team is fully AI engaged. Every one of our team members. We just buy them more screens all the time because they're running out of places to put so usually they have a screen with four parts for every agent. So now we have people with 3 big screens. Each one of them, it becomes we need to buy more. We need to buy the more screens like traders that have 6 screens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we are releasing features much quicker. And in general, I will always say, we love to hear from you what will make your life easier. If you have a bottleneck, something that is an issue, we can solve things usually pretty fast. And we love learning from firms, and because at the end of the day, if you have a challenge, probably other firms also have that. The annual automatic price increase you saw is because when we spoke to people, they said, oh, we never increase our prices. We don't want to talk to clients. So we said, okay, can something like that help you? People said, yeah. And this is our most favorable feature in the world. Yeah.
I mean, I absolutely see why. 50 million in one day, automatic.
That's not for Anchor. Yeah, this is for our clients.
No, I know. You're like, whoa.
We did not. This was not a price increase for us. That's the thing. For us, it was another transaction, which was anyway going to happen on the 1st of Jan, but we were shocked. I mean, it was amazing. As a business owner, if you have the ability to grow your revenue like this with 0 client friction, that's priceless. And the thing is that eventually the clients see that, and the client also want to use something like that. Funny enough, what we saw also is because Anchor has no subscription, a lot of the firms actually started also with us, but also not with us, to implement Anchor on their clients' systems, because guess what? Your clients also have AR. But then, because Anchor is doing 99% of the work, there's always 1% that is a little bit, we need to do more, and over time we're going to solve it. But now accountants can offer AR services, advisory for their clients, right? Advising them on the packaging and the pricing, and doing those discussions with them. And because we don't take a subscription, the accountant can add $200, $300, $400 a month based on number of clients of the clients. So basically, it's another revenue channel for the accounting firms themselves, right? So it's a win-win-win. The clients has their AR eliminated. Accountant gets another revenue channel, another value they can give to their clients. Anchor is the enabler for that, the instrument for that. And we, of course, get another client, which helps us to learn and, get to more people.
Yes, we are very similar in the way where we our outbound marketing and positioning is around accounting firms, but really we work with all professional services firms, or really anyone who needs this type of work. And so it has been so fabulous to partner with you and your team. Like I said at the very beginning, the amount of your users that came up to your team at that conference and spoke just wonderful things and did your sales pitch for you was just truly something that left a mark for me. And wow, just wow. So thank you so much.
I will also say, because part of what we believe as a company, as people, we don't see ourselves as a software company. And I think a lot of people that interact with us see that. We always can be better, but we see ourselves as a software and services, as a relationship. We came from the same place, we experienced the same things. The number of clients I'm still going on calls with, even if it's a client that, they have, I don't know, 20 invoices a year. So as you can understand, we don't make a lot of money from them, but every client gets the attention from us. We really care about it. We care about the relationship. We really want to make good. And one of the main values of Anchor as a company, we have 4 values. The first one and the main one is heart, which means how you treat each other internally as a company, to our suppliers, to our clients. It's really important for us to be good and elevate others, and it's also part of what we do.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Where can people find more about Anchor and you? And if they have any questions about potential workflows or scenarios that they want to know, would Anchor be a good solution for? Where would you recommend them going?
I will say easiest. Oh, I forgot to show the important slide. Wait, this one. I completely forgot about it. So there is this slide, which is here's a QR if you want to meet us. That's one thing. You can always go to our website, which is sayanchor.com, SAY, anchor.com. Because we really like, this relationship with you, and we said we are relationship people, then we also wanted to offer something for the community, which is, 3 months on Anchor for those that join out of Anchor fees. The discounted white glove onboarding and white glove tax bulk. It's what I mentioned before. White glove onboarding basically means we can take a firm, doesn't matter how many clients they have, and literally in 3 to 4 meetings, we can migrate the entire firm into Anchor. The clients do not even need to sign new agreements. We can just move the billing to Anchor. So literally, I would say a couple of hours, but then you're going to enjoy all of that. So feel free to scan this QR and reach out to us. People can also reach out to me in my personal email, tal@sayanchor.com. And of course, Ashley, if anyone comes over, send them my way.
Will do.
Don't be strangers.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you, Tal, and thank you for everyone who showed up live today and also who is watching the recording. If you do have any questions, like I said, either reach out to Tal directly or reach out to us and we can pass that over. As always, thank you for being champions of Prowess Project and for joining us today. If there's any other types of topics that you're interested in, please come share, because we want to give you as much value as possible. All right. Well, happy Tuesday, everyone, and see you again soon.
Thank you.